All right, so let's go ahead and start standing. We're gonna start with just some mobilizations with our foot. So if you wanna go socks or bare feet, you can. So you can do this with a lacrosse ball. You can do this with a tennis ball. I like to just push up and down into the arch. So this is a little bit of SMR, self-myofascial release. Go on the outside or the inside, and then go ahead and switch. And really, it's just to get a little bit of kind of pressure into that arch. If you feel a little area of tension, maybe push a little bit deeper. Again, you're gonna get a little bit more out of this with a lacrosse ball than a tennis ball, okay? Now from here, what I want you to do is pick up the ball, okay? We're gonna go over our cars. Oh, did I press play? I forgot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Never mind. All right, so actually let's go ahead and put that down. All right, we're gonna start with the head and then we'll work our way down. We'll start with controlled articular rotations or CARs. So it's taking each joint through their full range of motion. After we do that, we're gonna do some mobility pals and rails for different joints. And then we're gonna get into some level 2 CARs, some end range rotations, and then some isometric movement pathways. So that's all Kinstretch and FRC terms. And we'll talk about the science of that as we go through it. So let's just start. We're gonna start with like wide legs. Okay, so whenever we're doing the joints, you don't have to do the same, you don't have to stand or kneel, you have to do the same thing each time. So here we're just gonna have the arms out, hands at the waist, or arms down. We're gonna go ahead and squeeze the arms or squeeze the waist. We're just going to bring our head all the way down into our chest. You're gonna look over your right shoulder, look behind your right shoulder, look up, over, top, up at the ceiling, draw a circle with your chin all the way around, look over your left shoulder, and then scrape your chin down, across your collarbone, down to your sternum. Follow that circle one more time, nice and slowly, all the way around until you hit your second rep. Once you hit your second rep, and you're gonna rotate the other way, look over your left shoulder, look up, draw a circle with your chin all the way down, and then one more time. Good. All right, go ahead and grab your tennis ball. We're gonna put the block in between your legs. This is just going to help us create a little bit of tension. So you can put it in between your knees actually, or your thighs. We're gonna kind of press it together as we do this exercise. What that does is gonna create a little bit of a radiation or full body contraction to help us with this joint mobilization. So we're gonna take our left hand with the ball, squeeze our right fist. We're gonna reach across, squeezing the ball as hard as you can, all the way into flexion, overhead, elbow is straight, so don't move your head, don't move your body, don't rotate anything. We're gonna internally rotate at the shoulder. Don't rotate the back. We're gonna reach back like you're reaching the back seat of the car. Keep internally rotating so the back of the hand is next to the side of the body at the end. That's half of rep 1. From here, back of the hand touching the side, reach back, all the way, rotate, squeeze the ball, squeeze, all the way up, all the way across, all the way down. And then you're gonna do that one more time, a little bit smoother. Internal rotation, all the way back, trying to make big circle here, and then back all the way around. Squeeze the ball as hard as you can, squeeze it. And we're gonna go ahead and switch side, okay? Squeezing the ball with your right hand, reach across, try to pop the ball, rotate, reach back, back of the hand touches the side, reach back, rotate, reach up. Try not to move your head or your torso. Only thing that moves is your shoulder. So try not to look over the shoulder or rotate at the spine. And one more rotation, squeeze the ball, squeeze as you rotate. The harder you squeeze, the more force you're gonna be able to produce in that range. Good, okay? Set this down. And go to the kneeling position. So you do tall kneeling or collapsed kneeling, up to you, whatever feels more comfortable. Either way, we're gonna have our hands down at the sides, glued, arms are straight, pretend you have a $100 bill locked into your elbows. We're gonna go up, back, all the way down, forward, up, back, and down. So this is the scapula, protraction, elevation, retraction, depression. Let's reverse it. Retraction, elevation, protraction, and then 2 circles each. Good. Okay. Elbows, palms face open. We're gonna tee it out. Externally rotate the shoulders so the thumbs are back. We're gonna bend all the way, pronate, and extend. Same thing. You can do this tall kneeling or collapsed kneeling, whatever's best for you, or you can do this standing, and then reverse it. Extend, pronate, flex, supinate, extend. Good. Okay, shake it out a little bit. Okay, now you can do this standing or kneeling, so whatever's best for you. If you want to stand, you can stand. You can kneel. We're gonna do thoracic spine. So we're gonna flex down. So if you have ankle or if this is too much on your feet, it's gonna be a lot better to do standing like this. Okay, so you can choose. For the thoracic car, we're gonna flex down, rotate, bend, extend, rotate, bend, and then flex down. Then follow that path. One more rotation, all the way around. Once you hit 2 reps, you're gonna reverse that circle. So it's flexion, lateral bend, extension, rotation, bend, and then flexion. Okay? We'll just do a segmental spine, so we're just gonna go for a toe touch. And then from here, we're gonna relax the arms. Then we're gonna come up 1 vertebrae at a time. The last thing that comes up is the head, neck, and chin. And then we're gonna open up the chest and extend the back. And breathe. And if you can, reach overhead. And then make your way back to standing. Good. All right. Wrist. So we're gonna get the hip in a little bit. So go ahead and come down to the ground. We're gonna put our hand, and you don't have to be on your knees. You can be like this if you want, but we're gonna do a wrist car while we're holding on to the ball. So we're gonna squeeze the ball, flex, okay? Is this radial deviation or is this ulnar deviation? Ulnar. This is ulnar deviation and flexion, and then we're gonna go extension all the way around. So we're gonna go all the way around in a circle, 2 times one way and then 2 times the other way, and squeeze the ball. Feel all that stuff going on in the wrist? Because we're creating a little bit more tension that's going to be a little bit more active. And then go ahead and switch sides. So 2 circles each way. Okay. Now we're gonna move to our hip. So we're gonna do, you can do standing or we can do the quadruped. I'll show you what the standing is gonna look like. So I'm gonna put the ball here. This is an advanced version. You don't have to put the ball here, but it's gonna keep my knee bent. And it's gonna give me more radiation because I'm squeezing my hamstring in order to do that. So I can do hip car from the standing position, or I can do that in this quadruped position. Notice that I'm not opening up my whole body. I'm not rotating at the trunk. The only thing that moves is the hip here, okay? So decide if you can do a standing. If you're gonna do standing, maybe go against the wall so you can push yourself into the wall. Otherwise, if you are quadruped or hands and knees, you're gonna start by bringing the knee to the elbow, abduct, internally rotate, And we're gonna meet here into extension and then drop it down. Tap the ground up toward the sky. You should feel that in the glute here. Externally rotate abduct. And then one more rotation all the way back and out and around. And all the way back the other way. And then we're gonna switch sides. Now, I might not pick all of these exercises to do as a warm-up because they take a lot of time. So I might just do just the hip or just the shoulder with somebody. I might skip things like the wrist, elbows, okay, if they don't need it that much. Good. Okay, for the knees, we'll do this one on our back. I'm gonna hold on to the back of my hamstring, dorsiflex the ankle, and then first, I wanna show you that, watch how my whole, what bones are in here?
Tibia.
They're mainly the tibia and fibula, but the tibia can externally rotate about 20 degrees and internally rotate about 10 degrees. Notice that I can just move my foot or I can lock things together. It's a very small rotation. So it's gonna look like this. I'm gonna externally rotate, extend, internally rotate, and then bend. Out, up, in, and then down. Let's go ahead and try that. So start with dorsiflexion, foot goes out, extend, turn the foot in, and then bend. Foot out, extend, foot in, and bend. Then we're gonna reverse track. Foot is in, extend, out, and then bend. In, extend, out, and then bend. And then we'll try the same thing with the opposite leg. Okay. For the ankle, we're going to try it with a little bit of kind of like the wrist. So we're going to put our ankle on top of the block. It can be like this or like this. I'm going to point, I'm going to go plantar flexion. Okay, in. I'm going to draw a circle with my foot all the way around. And try not to cut the edges. Try not to make a square. Full circle all the way around. You'll notice that it's a lot harder to go on the outside and up than the inside and up. So 2 circles each way. Try not to cut. You'll notice that someone will cut corners. It might not have the range of motion necessary for that full complete circle. Then go ahead and try the other side. And really try to push the leg down into the block as you do that. Good. Okay, so that's going to be ankle cars or ankle controlled articular rotations, whatever you want to say. All right, now we'll get into some pals and rails and some base positions. So we'll start in the 90-90, okay, with the blocks on the sides like this, so that we're nice and upright. Make sure you have a front knee at 90, back leg at 90. I should see your right foot, so try to mirror me. Yep, so face this way. And then have your blocks out like this. So face, oh yeah, you're gonna have, so you can see me, that makes sense. So you want your blocks, nope, yep. And then you want to face toward that front leg. Okay, and so a modification for someone is using these blocks. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to hinge forward, pull yourself into the stretch by trying to pull that knee toward your chest, and then push back out. If this back hip starts cramping, like for me, it's starting to cramp, I'll just kind of get it out and then get back into this position. So we're just going to go for 3 hinges or 3 kinetic stretches in this front hip. So we're gonna hinge forward with a straight back. Try not to flex the head down like this. Keep the chest up as you go down and up. Okay, now we're gonna challenge external hip rotation and hip flexion. So what we're gonna do is first put the block underneath the knee. We're gonna press down into the block for 5 seconds at about 50% effort. So push, push. So we're trying to squeeze the block with our knee. So we're trying to externally rotate into the block. You should feel all the muscles turn on. Ready? And push, 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 and relax. Now try the same thing with the block off the ground. We're gonna push the leg into the ground, squeeze the ground, 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and relax. Now we're gonna pull the leg up toward the belly button for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then relax. If it's too easy, lean forward. If it's too hard, lean back. Okay? Try it one more time. Ready? And up, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. All right, let's go to the other side. So we'll start with the 3 kinetic stretches where we lean with our chest forward, chest up, back straight. 3, nice and slow on the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then push your way out of it, and then back up. Okay, knee underneath the block. Press the knee into the block for 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Move the block. Press the leg into the ground. Hold, push, 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 5, 4, 3, 2, relax. And then pull up and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. And one more, up, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. All right, let's go butterfly. And from here, we'll put the blocks on the outsides of the knees. From here, hands pulling into the ankles, and we're gonna try to actively press our knees into the blocks. So we're gonna push the knees into the blocks for 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Now what we're gonna do is push the elbows into the thighs. And then from here, I want you to try to squeeze into the elbows, creating an isometric contraction in the adductors. So this is what we would call progressive angular isometric loading, or what we would call PNF stretching. Okay, so push the elbows into the thighs, thighs into the elbows for 5, 4, 3, 2, relax. And then one more, ready? Push down, push up, 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Okay, shake those legs out. So what we're doing is we're getting into base positions and performing isometric contractions in these end range positions, which helps us to strengthen tissues in these end ranges, as opposed to passively hold these stretches. So that's the difference between mobility and flexibility. Mobility is we're actively involved in stretching. Flexibility is we're passively involved in stretching. Both are beneficial, okay? Both have their own purpose. All right, so now we're gonna get into the combat base position. Now, a modification is using this block as a seat, okay? And what I'm gonna do here is I'm just going to rock this knee over the toe, and I'm gonna hold here, okay? Here's a side view, okay? Okay, advanced position, it's just gonna look like this without the blocks, just like this. So we call this the combat base, is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu base position. And what we're gonna do is keep that heel down, and we're just going to bring the knee over the toe, as long as there's no pain here. So if there is pain, you might just have to get up. You can go in the half kneeling position if you feel like there's pain here. You could also go half kneeling just like this. Okay, so you don't have to be in this position here. This might be a little bit hard for people to get into. Like I said, you can just go half kneeling like this. Okay, so this is option 1, option 2, and then option 3. From here, I'm gonna push those toes down into the ground. Now this is where you're gonna have to be careful with the calf and everything, because we are starting to hit the calf, so just go at your own pace here. So I'm gonna bring the knee over the toe. I'm gonna push those toes down into the ground, like I'm about to squeeze the calf. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Now I'm gonna pull my toes toward my shin and turn this tibialis anterior on. So try to go deeper into the stretch by way of squeezing this anterior muscle here, and then relax, okay? Let's try the other side. So what I'm doing is I'm actively pushing my toes into the ground, contracting my calf as I'm in this end range dorsiflexion position. And then after I contract for 5 seconds, I'm pulling my toes toward the shin for 5 seconds. So go at your own pace by pushing for 5 into the ground, then pulling deeper into the stretch for 5 without any pain. So don't go too hard either. You should feel that contraction on the front of the shin when you pull the toes toward the shin in that position. Okay, so that's the combat base position, pals and rails. All right. Next position we'll get into is the half kneeling position. So this is going to be more hip flexor. Okay, so you can, for this one, all we're going to do here is we're going to have our left foot forward, right foot back. Okay, and all I'm going to do is squeeze that right glute, and I should feel my right hip flexor begin to engage when I squeeze this right glute. Now, if you feel like there's pain in the knee or in the quad, you're probably pushing too hard. So just a little bit, maybe 10%, 20% effort, and you should feel that hip flexor turn on. And then from here, we're just gonna go deeper into this stretch and then actively go in and out of the stretch. So let go of that squeeze as you lean forward. You just kind of kinetically stretch with that hip flexion. And same thing on the other side. First start with some active isolation stretching by just squeezing the glute. The PNF version of this, and I don't want to do it with this position because it might be a little painful, but I would drive the leg into the ground to create a PNF stretch. So if I push this knee into the ground, you feel how that turns on that hip flexor? By driving that knee through the ground. So that would be a PNF stretch, and then squeezing the glute would be the active isolation stretch for this exercise. So that's the half kneeling base position, okay? So those are some base positions. Go ahead and relax, and we'll kind of go over what we're doing in those positions. So when I was in that 90-90 position, when I'm pushing into the ground, I'm already in external rotation. So I'm trying to further hip external rotation. When I'm going in the same direction as the stretch, or I'm trying to kind of get out of the stretch in a way, that is going to be the PNF portion of stretching, or what we call PALS contractions. When we pull this up, we go deeper into the stretch by way of pulling the muscles that take us further into the stretch. So this would be called an active isolated stretch, where this would be pushing in would be PNF. FRC terms, PALS contraction, pushing down, RALS contraction, going up. PALS means progressive angular isometric loading. So we're in the progressive angle of this stretch, and we're loading it isometrically, so that's why they call it PALS. Regressive angular isometric loading is the regressive, or the short angle of this stretch, and we're isometrically loading it in a short angle. So that's why it's called PALS and RALS contractions. And you can do that in anything. So now we're gonna move to the upper body. So let me show you how this works I'm gonna put one hand down, my forehead will be on my wrist. I'm gonna have a 90-degree elbow bend. Let me show you how this works first, because you won't be able to see me if you get down here, because you're gonna have your head down. From here, if I push down into the block, is that gonna be PNF or active isolation? If I'm pushing down, if I'm trying to, it's gonna be PNF. Now if I go like this, active isolation. If I push down, is that PALS contraction or RALS contraction? PALS. If I go up, RALS. So when we do PALS and RALS, we do 10% effort, 20% effort, 30% effort. You get to a good effort, you hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you do 5 seconds of RALS contraction. So let me show you how this works. So a beginner, no block, advanced, block, super advanced, higher the block. So for me, maybe I'm gonna go here. I wanna look for the wrist. So if the wrist goes like this, it's not the shoulder moving. So you'll see people try to externally rotate their shoulder and they'll go like this. So that's just the wrist extending. External rotation of the shoulder is when the shoulder moves together, okay? So what I'm trying to do here is I'm in external rotation. If I try to get out of this stretch by pushing down, I'm trying to internally rotate. That's my PALS contraction. That's also called my PNF. So I'll go 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50% to a safe 70% effort. I'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then I'll lift up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then I'll relax, okay? So it'll look like this. So forehead down. I'm gonna actively 10% push down, 20, legs are engaged, 30%, 40, 50, 60, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then lift up, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then relax. Okay? Now you'll either go here or you can go just on the ground and try that same thing. Okay, so let's start with the right arm. 90-degree elbow, and I'll come around, make sure that you're set up right. So, everyone get this set up, and I'll tell you when to start. Remember, good fist, good strength in the wrist. All right, so go ahead and start pressing down into the blocker ground, 5% effort, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% effort, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, and lift off, hold, 5, as high as you can, 4 without bending the wrist, 3, 2, and relax. Okay, let's try the left side. If it was too much with the block, take the block away. If it was too easy, turn the block sideways. Go ahead and press down, 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, and lift up and hold, 5, 4, don't bend the wrist, 3, 2, and relax. Good, okay? So that's gonna help us improve a little bit of hip or shoulder external rotation. So let's set up for shoulder internal rotation. So we're gonna bring this here so that we're gonna be in the sideline position. I bring my arm in front of my shoulder, my hand over the hand and wrist, and I'm going to stretch my shoulder out in internal rotation. As you notice here, okay, I'm pretty tight here. Okay, so I don't need to get my arm to the ground. I'm not forcing it. So I take a fist, I stretch it out, hold. Then I'm trying to get out of the stretch. So the PALS contraction, I have to push down as I push up. The RALS contraction, I let go and I actively try to push down. So hand over hand. Okay, so try to get into this sideline position. So first start sideline, arm out like a 90 degree, bend the elbow, hand over hand. Should feel a stretch here in this shoulder. If not, maybe go toward the belt buckle. Keep the wrist straight. Don't let the wrist, so keep the wrist nice and tight. And we're gonna push down nice and easy. Don't pull it out of your socket. Light stretch here, hold. Okay, now we're gonna push the hand down into the wrist, wrist into the hand. Create that isometric contraction. So hand over hand, Harley. Yep, push into that hand, 5%, 10%, 20%, hold. And then actively try to get your arm toward the ground. Hold, 3, 2, and relax. And then from here, you can just kind of mobilize that shoulder, internal to external rotation. Okay. While we're here, we're gonna go ahead and bring our leg up. So I have your right leg up, and then we're going to lift that bottom leg off the ground and hold into the air. So this should be just a adduction activation here. Okay, so just lifting that bottom leg off the ground. And then from here, I can internally rotate this front hip. Okay, I can work with some mobility here, or I can work with some adduction with that bottom hip. Okay, now from here, bring that bottom leg up, top leg down, all the way up to the hip, and sit up on the shoulder. Okay, or you can come up to the hand here for a progression. From here, we're gonna externally rotate and try to get that foot up off the ground as high as it'll go, and then relax. And then from here, the other hip, we're gonna hold, point the toe, little circles here, and then circle the other way. So these are end range rotations here. Okay, let's go ahead and turn. Start with the bottom leg up, the top leg over top. And we're gonna bring the bottom leg off the ground and hold for 3, 2, and relax. Bottom leg off the ground and hold. 3, 2, 1. Other leg, Brady.
Which one?
Switch.
No, your left leg's straight, your right leg's up.
Like this?
Yep, and then lift that bottom leg up off the ground. Your left leg, Brady. Yep, there it is. Good, okay. And then from here, go ahead and bring opposite leg up. Yep. And then you're gonna lift that foot up off the ground. Hold. And then switch to the circles here, end range circles. If you can, straighten the elbow and then circle the other way. Good, okay? Now we're gonna move to straddle position. This is when it's gonna be a little crampy in the TFL. So this is when you're gonna really feel your TFLs working. So if you wanna make it easier, bring your legs in. If you wanna make it harder, bring your legs out, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on this left leg to start. If you feel like this is too hard, you can go against the wall and do this one, okay? Or you can use your blocks just like this, okay? So what we're gonna do is I'm going to focus on one leg and I'm gonna lift up, and then I'm gonna go with 2 small circles one way and then 2 small circles the other way. If you need to bend that knee after, you can. Okay. So this is what we call end range rotation. So let's try that right side. So you're gonna point the toe, you're gonna lift up, small circles, and then circle the other way. So if it's hard, you just lean back and then go like this. All right, okay, and then relax those legs out. All right. Let's do a little bit of hip work here. So this is just gonna be a hip hover. I'll show you what this looks like. So what I do is I'm gonna have hand over hand. I'm going to bend one knee, tuck the toe of the opposite leg into the ground. I'm gonna extend, AB duck, try to get it to hover off the ground, and then slowly let it down, and then up and back. And I'm gonna go for 2 reps on each side. So the slower you go, the harder it will be. And then parachute down, so don't drop the leg down. And slowly hover it. And try to get that knee up as high as it'll go. And try both sides for 2 reps. Good. All right, now we're gonna work a little bit of the shoulder flexion. So we've done external rotation, internal rotation of the shoulder. Now we're gonna do flexion. So option 1, it'll look like this without the block. Okay, it's gonna go up, back. So it's a prone. We call this a swimmer hover. And then from here, we lift up, hold, extend, rotate, squeeze the ball, and then come back. So it's just a controlled articular rotation, but one arm, squeeze, come all the way back, bend the elbow, relax, lift up, hold, extend, rotate, reach over the head and down. Try 2 reps on each side. So forehead's down, goes up, reach all the way back, bend the elbow up the back, relax, and then lift up, extend the elbow, rotate, reach all the way over the head and down. And you can do 1 or 2 reps on each side. So try to bend that elbow all the way up the back, relax, and then hover with, yep. Good. Keep the head down. Good. Good. Okay, and then we can turn this shoulder flexion into pals and rails. So you could do 2 blocks, 1 block. You could go like this if you wanted. So basically what I'll do is I'm gonna go into shoulder flexion, head down. I'm gonna try to drive my arm through and down into the blocks for 20, 30, 40, 50% effort. And then after I hit 5 seconds, I'm gonna lift up as high as I can and hold, and then relax, okay? And if that's an easy spot, I would start a little bit higher. So let's start like that, okay? And you're gonna do 2 reps on each arm, or 1 rep on each arm. So pushing down, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, hold. And then lift up and hold. And you should only be like 1 inch above the block. If you're higher, then you probably need to get more blocks. And then relax. And then switch side. So this is engaging your lats. So that'd be, you could double up those blocks, Piper. 'Cause
I
you
do
got,
have double blocks.
oh, this way. Even both like that, yeah. Long ways. Like that, yep. Like that, yep. So you push down and then you pull up, yep. And if you see that someone's like just too mobile even for this stuff, then they probably don't even need it that much. So I wouldn't spend too much time with them. Okay, so now we're gonna work on some eccentric and just some isometric movement pathways. So the first one is gonna be the butterfly movement pathway. So it starts with just the butterfly movement. Okay, you can have your hands behind your back. So this is how option one's gonna work. So option one, I'm using support. I'm gonna bend my knee, I'm gonna bring it behind my body. And then from here is where it can get a little bit tricky. So then you're gonna come up, come through, bring your leg through. This is where if the surface isn't right, you won't be able to do this. It's gonna be just like that, okay? And so if you can, option one, your hands will be here and you kind of maneuver yourself and you try to bring your leg through and then you're trying to go back to that butterfly position.
So after I get into like the 45, 45 or whatever.
Yep, 45, 45. This is called, does anybody know what this is called? It's called shin box. And then from shin box,
Oh, I didn't. So. No. Like,
this surface isn't the best surface. It's a little bit, you kind of need like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu mat. So I'll kind of, and then to make it even harder, you bring your arms over your head and you try not to bend your spine. So
I don't think I did it.
okay, and then you can also try it the other way. Nice job, nice job. Piper's got it. Oh yeah, yep. And just remember, and try not to land, but try to do it with control. Okay, now we're gonna try a 90-90 pathway. So this one, the back hip, so sorry. Let's go right foot forward, left foot back. So this one you can use on, especially the outside if you want. You can go on your right forearm if you need to, and you can go like this for option one. Option two is a push into the ground, open up the hip, hover the foot, and then rotate back without bending over. If you can do it with your back straight, looking straight ahead, and then coming back. Okay? And then a challenge here is to rotate, extend, and then come back. Yep. So you rotate here, and then extend, and then rotate back. Very slowly, don't drop the leg down. And then you can challenge without hands, up, rotate, forward, and then back.
Did you hear my knee?
And then we'll go ahead and try the other side. Okay, so it's that back hip. To make it easier, you go on the forearm and you can just go like this. To make it a little bit harder, use the hand as a kickstand. Super hard, no hands. And then you can practice. Then you can go all the way through. Good. Okay. When you're through with that, let's go hands and knees. Bring that block between the knees for a little bit of a radiation. So squeeze the block around the back. And then one vertebrae at a time, low back, all the way to upper back and neck, and then neck, upper back, low back. You kind of segment the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Okay, now we're gonna extend one leg. Similar to our adductor rock, but we're not gonna be collapsed yet. So here, and if you want to challenge yourself, you could put your feet onto blocks, press down, activate your adductor for your pals contraction, and then rals contraction is lifting up. Okay. So make it harder by putting blocks there. So remember, it's about a 15-second pals and then a 5-second rals. Just go for 1 rep on each side. If you want to try the blocks, go ahead. It's going to make it a little bit tougher. So I'm pressing from here down into the block, 10%, 20, 30, 40, hold, and then lift using your abductor, and then relax.
I can definitely feel that like right here, because I'm
That's
like,
your glute med.
I'm
That's
like
your glute.
straight.
It's your glute medius, the side butt muscles. Your butt muscles on the bottom of your butt, your glute max. The top sides are your glute meds. Okay? So all we just did is just kind of activate and kind of initiate muscles in their end range. What are we missing, or what haven't we covered?
I think
Joint
we've done
wise.
everything.
Huh?
I think we've done everything.
Hamstrings.
Yeah.
Let's do a hamstring one.
Yeah.
So, just like this. So the pals contraction is going to be what? Pressing down.
And
Rals contraction is going to be lifting up.
I can't lift up.
Okay? You don't have to do either, but that's just what it is. So you can just passively hang out if you want. Or you can activate by, now watch this, bend the knee a little, and then I want you to feel your hamstring when you have the knee bent instead of knee straight, because that's going to be, this is more sciatic issue, this is more hamstring. So curl that hamstring, feel that hamstring curl into the ground for that pals, and then rails, that's where you're going to feel that quad maybe tighten up a little bit. And then go ahead and switch side. If you feel like you're nodding up, you're probably pushing too hard. So don't try to always go a little bit lower than you might think. Good. All right. So now we'll go ahead and stand. We're going to do an eccentric squat. So basically, all the stages of a squat. So we're going to go as slow as we can. It's going to be almost about a 60-second downward phase. So if you want to wait, or if you want to just stand, observe, you can. So it's just we'll just do some mobility challenges. So feet are about the length of the mat, or width of the mat. Feet are forward, maybe slightly out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach forward as I squat down. So I'm going to bend the knees just a little bit, reach forward, and see if you can match my knee bend here. And just focus on your breathing. Try to keep your spine up here. Breathe. Try to hold and get to the bottom. And then we're going to slowly go up. Shake it out a little bit. Woo! A little lightheaded. Okay. Now we're gonna do a little bit of lateral squat and Cossack. Okay. This is where the stuff kind of gets fun for me. This is where you might just say, I'm done with today, which is totally fine, because this is gonna get to more advanced. So feel free to skip some of these next parts. So for the Cossack or lateral squat, remember we've done the lateral squat, right? Toes forward. Now the Cossack is when you're going to drop in a little bit more, and you need the mobility strength to do this. Okay, so what I'll do from here is I'll open up the foot, but I want to make sure I have this heel down. If I begin to bring that up, I don't want to get stuck in this position. From here, Okay, the heel will go up. I can tap, come down, and then come back up.
I can go almost
Okay,
done.
careful. So just come down. Option 1 is just a lateral squat, just like this. Option 2, you can go foot up. Then option 3, you can try a little bit deeper. But don't go into pain and don't go in a range that you don't feel is comfortable. Okay? Okay. All right. Shake it out a little bit. All right, now let's go to one that we can probably all do. Last one for the day. Last one for the day. All right. So we're going to get our 90-90. We're going to go into that shin box and then rotate shin box, rotate shin box. So it should be kind of like a half pigeon. Then you can take this into a full pigeon. Okay? That's when you can go and you can kind of, don't do that though.
I'm gonna just stay in this position.
You can go pigeon, and then from pigeon, you probably don't want to try this, but I can go here, here, so you can kind of,
Thank you. Other pigeon.
Other pigeons?
Other pigeons.
and then any position you want. Let's go ahead and lay on our backs. How about that?
Okay. Child's pose.
Close your eyes, focus on your breathing. Do a little 3 minutes of some breath work and then we'll be done. Just focus on your breathing, nostril breathing if you want, slow breathing if you want, long exhale, long inhale, or you can just try to go to sleep for the next 2 minutes. And then one final big inhale and long hold and long exhale. And you can turn over and sit up. And that's going to be it for your FRC Kinstretch class. What are the major differences between the FRC Kinstretch and a typical yoga